Okay, so I've made some playing cards, really generic. Obviously, you guys are going to have um, more differences between each card than I have right now. But I've used the template that Tank shared, and for this instance, I have a bleed around each card. So especially if you've got certain details that go to the edge of your card, um, and you want each card to be its own entity, you'll want to make sure to use this setup. Another thing that you could do is, I'm going to turn the artwork off. You could go in and select, actually I'm going to turn off the bleed lines. You can get rid of the bleed lines, and let's say I just want to make a few quick cuts. I don't want to have to cut out every individual card. What you could do is just isolate the crop marks and the card and margins layer and move those over so that they're touching one another. And you can zoom in and make sure that the crop marks cross over. But you would do that with all of the cards on this page, and that way there would be fewer cuts to make. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Okay. In this example, I've got a pattern that goes to the red bleed line on each one of these, just to demonstrate how that would work. And then there's also the crop marks. Then over here, I'm actually going to, let's see, I'm going to delete this and start over. Okay, so to set up your files for printing, I would recommend exporting these as a PDF. It kind of flattens everything out, and it's easier to transfer it over to another computer. You don't have to worry about fonts not being available on the other computer you're using because everything is just flattened. Bless you. So to make an exact duplicate of this artboard with the trim marks and bleed lines and everything, what you will want to do is go to the Artboards tool, and it's over here on the left hand side, and you want to lock the art layer. So that way when you transfer it, it's not going to transfer the artwork. You'll notice that there's this button up here at the top. When that's selected, that means when you duplicate or move an artboard, it moves the artwork with it. So I'm going to leave that selected because there's still other stuff on this artboard that I want transferred. But like I said, I'm going to make sure this art layer down here is locked. Then what I'm going to do, select this Artboard 1, hold down Option so I get the double arrows. Hold down, since I had that artwork layer locked, it doesn't transfer the artwork itself, but I get all of the bleed lines and the trim marks and everything. So from here, I can start working on the back of my cards. On these, I'm going to have a slightly different pattern and a solid color underneath. For anything that I really don't care, like anything continuous that doesn't necessarily need to be in an exact spot on the card, I could do like I did with the green and just kind of flood the whole sheet with it. But then if there's anything, like let's say I have this heart that I want to use for the back of the cards, and that needs to be centered on every single one. then in this instance I would want to have that rectangle going to the bleed lines for each individual card. And once I have a whole row, I can just select all three and just duplicate them. And by holding down the shift button, I make sure that everything is along the same axis. So there I've got the front and the back of my cards. From here, I'm going to save it first as an AI file, which may take a few seconds. And then I'm going to do Save As and choose Adobe PDF. There's this option down here that says whether or not I want to choose artboards. Since I only have 2 artboards and those 2 I want in the same document, I'm just going to click All. If I had like 6 on here, 6 artboards, then I want to make sure I know what number artboards that I want to be included in the PDF, and I could use the range option right there. When this window pops up, or actually, hold on, before I even do that, before you even export it or you print it, make sure that you turn off the visibility for the bleed lines and the margins, because those are just for your reference on the screen. The only thing you need when you actually trim it out are the crop marks. All right, so now I'm ready to save as. When this window comes up, you want to change the preset to high quality print. This automatically changes the compression so that it's at least 300 pixels per inch. Also, you can go down and check the crop marks and bleed settings. Since we already have our own crop marks, you don't need to worry about that, so just make sure that option is not selected and click Save. And then I always click the option to have it open up in Acrobat just so I can see what it looks like. So it's put the 2 files, the 2 artboards into one document. I also have this card box template, and I'm going to add, just for consistency's sake, I'm going to add this pattern that I have back here. Okay, so it's a more subtle pattern. I've decided where the front of my box is going to be and what's going to be on the back, or vice versa. I've already printed out my cards, figured out what the thickness of the block of cards is, and adjusted the width of the box based on that. I could also, I mentioned before, I could round the corners of the tabs and do some other things to the template if I wish. Now these marks on here, I can't just have simple crop marks. I kind of need these lines to tell me where to cut certain parts. So for that, you've got a couple things you could do. Actually, what I am going to do, I'm going to hide the artwork, and I'm going to I'm going to group this template together, and I'm going to align it with the center of my artboard. I'll turn my artwork back on and move it. Let's see. And this will work really well, what I'm about to show you, if you want to have some kind of pattern on the inside of your box as well. Okay, so I've got this one artboard. The template is centered. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to unlock the template layers, lock the artwork, go to my artboard, and duplicate this artboard. And I need to flip it the other way because obviously when it prints I want it to be the reverse. So I'm going to go to the transform menu, go to flip horizontal, and it flips it the other way. And for the inside of the box I'll do this light green color. Now depending on how you want to do it, you can have the lines for the trimming and the folding on the outside of the box or on the inside of the box. So I'll actually do two examples. I'll go ahead and duplicate these artboards so you guys can see the difference between the two. So in this first one, I'm going to get rid of that template on the outside of the box and keep it on the inside. But what I'm going to do is go in and I'm going to select anything. Actually, I'll go ahead and select all of these template lines, and I'm going to change them to a green color so they're less apparent when I print them out and go to trim them. Tad bit darker than what I had before. I'm also going to make the lines really thin so they're less noticeable. So I'll make them 0.25. For this example over here, I'll do the same exact thing except I'll keep the template on the front. And I'm actually just going to use the eyedropper tool to go over here and transfer that line quality to this side. Alright, so here I've got two separate artboard setups. Same thing here. I'm going to do save as PDF. I'll do two different ones, so I can do 1 to 2. Change this to high quality. Make sure there's no bleed. And then I'll do the second one. PDF 3 to 4. Not that many. a minute. Alright, that didn't work. That's 2, that's 3, that's 4. Alright, let me try this again. Huh. Alright, well, in this instance, I'm going to leave it in the Illustrator document. I don't know why it's not showing up. I am going to make these artboards a little bit longer because I'm going to be using tabloid paper. By 11. Alright, let's try this again. Alright, these as an AI file because my Illustrator is acting crazy. Alright, so now I want to make sure that I have all of my documents on an external hard drive. I'm just going to take this whole file and move it over. All of my text in my Illustrator file is in outline, so I shouldn't have any issue with fonts. Alright, so now I'm going to take this and move over to the printer.